All right, so when solving an absolute value equation, let's start by figuring out, okay, just kind of intuitively what the answer is. So the absolute value of what number equals 5? 5. Yeah, the absolute value of 5 is 5. But you know, it's not the only possible answer. The absolute value of what other number also equals 5? Negative 5. So if x is 5, the absolute value of 5 is 5. If x is negative 5, the absolute value of negative 5 is also 5. So there's actually two possible solutions here. This is going to be the case as we solve these absolute value equations, where there are two possible answers. Go ahead and write down this problem. Then we're going to see how we can solve it when we got a little more algebra to do in there. So just like if I just was solving 9 equals x plus 7, we're going to start by isolating the absolute value of x, which means I need to move the 7 out of there. How do I move the 7 out of the right side? We subtract it, yeah. So I'm going to subtract 7 from both sides of this equation. So the 9 minus 7 gives us 2 equals the absolute value of x. Now we can actually solve it. So if the absolute value of x equals 2, what can x equal? Well, it can equal 2 and negative 2 equals x. Now, my absolute value of x in this case was on the right side, so I went ahead and kept my x on the right side. Some people get a little uncomfortable with that. If you chose to write it as x equals 2 and negative 2, that's perfectly fine. The comma between the numbers just signifies that it is separating answers, so it's just showing that we have two different answers for this one. Okay, let's keep going with this. Write down this equation, then we're going to solve this one out. So in this case, when we see 3 absolute value of x equals 21, the 3 is being multiplied by the absolute value of x. So if I want to undo this, if I want to get the absolute value by itself, what do I do to both sides? Divide. So we divide both sides by 3 here. So absolute value of x equals 7. Okay, if the absolute value of x equals 7, then what does x equal? 7 and negative 7, yeah. This is the way I want your work to look as you do these. I want you to show what you're doing to both sides and then what you get from it. Now, a little tiny detail note here. Notice the absolute value of x. While those bars are still in there, it equals a single number. When we get rid of the absolute value bars, so like notice here, it's just x, not the absolute value anymore. That is the point at which we get the two answers. So getting rid of the absolute value is where we split it into two answers. All right, now to practice this idea, we're going to go through these 4 problems. So please write down and solve each of these 4 problems on your own paper.